When you watch a car race on TV, it's so hard to get into the driver's head. So today, I'm going to bring you along with me during my test sessions leading up to my last race weekend at NOLA Motorsport Park, and I'll walk through step by step what I'm thinking and what I'm doing to prepare for the race. Hey guys, I'm Daniel Morad. I'm a professional driver racing with Mercedes AMG, and I'm going to take you along for the race weekend with my team. I'm racing for this year in the GT World Challenge Series, TR3 Racing. During the first two test sessions, I have an onboard helmet cam, and I'll basically give you a walkthrough of what I'm thinking, what I'm doing, how we're preparing for the race weekend. So let's jump into the car and we'll get right into it. So the first thing, obviously jumping in the car, I have no ritual or anything. I just put my right foot in because it's the easiest way to go. One foot in, kind of put your butt in the car and then slip in. Usually a driver changer is helping you to either the driver, if they do that, or a driver changer, an extra crew member will help you buckle yourself in. So they'll typically take care of the seatbelts on the left side of your body. And then the driver would take care of like the right side. So you have one central buckle, so it's a 5-point harness. You'll pull up the middle buckle, plug in the waist belt on the right side, shoulder belt, which is usually attached with a magnet on the top roll bar.
Be sunny.
This is the first session before we've ever hit the track. My first time at NOLA Motorsport Park.
You can leave the engine on when you are there in pre-grid.
Okay.
So you can adjust the steering position. It can go up, down, forwards, or away from you, towards you. You can see what I just did. I turned on the master switch. Now I turned on the ignition. Got the thumbs up from the chief mechanic, Carlo. And that's the pedal box I just adjusted. So the pedal box is adjustable. Start button on the steering wheel. Radio top left.
Nice.
I didn't put this.
So pit speed limiter is the one with the shroud around it. That red one.
Page is the second page. I don't know if you use the 1, 2, or 3. And ABS and traction control, you know.
We have tire pressures on the screen. I'm checking brake balance. That's the first thing I usually do. Every time I get in the car, I'm checking brake balance. I'm always making sure at 50 bar front pet pressure what the brake balance is. So there we go. Cut to pit lane. And we are rolling. It's a wet track for the first session. So we're just rolling out on wet tires. It's full sun, as you can see. I kind of misjudged the exposure on the camera. We can look past that. I'll just take you through this first lap. It's an installation lap. So installation lap. We're rolling on to the circuit. And obviously switch the pit speed limiter off. We also had to bed in drive shafts in this first session. So just really easy, not a lot of load. Braking in a straight line, not putting a lot of load on the gearbox and drive shaft. Essentially, you want to avoid that like locking effect. So no hard braking and cornering, just braking in a straight line, nice and gentle, easy on the downshifts. So once I go to the back side of the track, you'll see in the top left hand side of the steering wheel is the radio button, that brown casing. I'll start to activate it fairly soon because I want to make sure the radio is working around the circuit, so I'll do a radio check at specific spots around the track. So now that we're at the furthest point away, just making sure I do a radio check. I say radio check, turn 5, so they know where I'm at around the circuit. Here, turn 6, just in the back section. I want to make sure that the radio is communicating well. I'm adjusting the volume. That's our radio box on the right side. So I just turned the volume up just a little bit. So from driver to driver, earbuds to earbuds, it might be a little different. So the last time we drove the car was in Sonoma, and Ziad was driving, my teammate was driving, so I had to turn the volume up. So now we're back into the pits. After I bedded the drive shafts, I mean, just a boring process, turn the engine off. And here we are, session 2. As you can see, glove change. We have the Puma gloves with the Moradness branding on it. No, we are not selling Nomex gloves yet. We're selling gloves for the sim, but not for sim and karting, not for car racing just yet. So this is my first lap of this is my first dry lap at NOLA, sorry. Just trying to get the marbles off the tires. There's a lot of pickup, so just weaving down the straight. You see the ABS lights flashing on the dash. The purple means front locking, rear is blue. So just getting to grips with this track right now. You can see this is the process of learning the track. Just sending it. This corner, I figure, like, you have to brake through it. So I'm braking deep through the corner, just really easy on throttle. Long duration corner. Turn 4 at New Orleans, NOLA Motorsport Park. This is a very fun section. So quick, you're top of third gear, using a lot of the curb. Still a bit damp, so I'm careful with it. A lot of oversteer there. Look, oh my God, already pushing. There's no reset in real life though, so you have to be careful. I just went in a little too deep, and it's a very, very challenging corner for the tires because you're loading the left sides for so long. Look at all the pickup already around the track from other series. GT4 and multiple series are running on the same weekend. So you can see all the discarded rubber from the Pirelli tires everywhere on the outside of the track. Very bumpy brake zone. I love the S's before this, so much fun. Really big commitment section. I know that you need to ride that curb from watching previous races from last year. I've seen the quick guys were all riding that curb, so immediately I went to go ride it. Didn't do it quite well enough. I fell off of the curb. You can use all the exit curb coming on the front straight. I didn't really get close to the wall. I didn't really test it. Checking my rear view camera, you can't really see it that well. It's a lot brighter with my actual eyes rather than the camera. It's not picking it up well. So heavy brake zone, already braking quite late. There's no sim either for this track. Like, I wasn't able to drive on the sim. So you can see the rubber. Look at the rubber just chunking out. So we have these air, louvers, I guess you would call them, over the front tires. And you can just see the rubber shooting out. There's so much pickup on the tires. That's a really bad aspect, I would say, about these tires. They just are so susceptible to picking up the marbles. We call them marbles because it's just the discarded rubber off of the tire. Look at that, much better now this time. Still a bit wide of the apex, but what's new? You miss an apex here and there, it's all good. This is a super fun section on the track. You're just pushing like hell, flat out. Look at the rubber chunking off. You can see it still off that front left. So still dealing with a little bit of understeer. I still have pickup on the tires. So you can hear the bottoming. The pressures are still a bit low. So the car is bottoming, but it's kind of a natural and normal phenomenon on the AMG GT3. A lot better execution on the curb now. I was holding that curb the whole time. A little bit of traffic to deal with. It's a slower driver, but you can see we're probably going to struggle on the straight because the AMG has the worst straight line speed just based off the balance of performance that the series offers. They try to even out all the cars, and you can see how much faster this Porsche is on the straight. He's lifting now. He realizes, okay, this guy caught me. I'm going to lift off, let him by. Try to get back online as quick as I can. Just feeling the grip. I kind of jiggle it just to make sure I have the grip on the turn-in. I kind of do that just to make sure I know what I'm working with on corner entry. So you just kind of like test it to see if it's there. You see really hard braking, down into the corner, V'ing the corner now a bit more. Trying to V it off, so break through, stop it, turn it, and fire off. Here, dealing with a lot of oversteer. This first run, TC, you can see it's on 8.8. The TC is just lighting up like it's Christmas. So really struggling with traction. We brought the setup that we had in Sonoma here, and we made some changes that we thought were going to be positive, but complete different circuit, different surface as well. So this is just our first run to see what we're actually, what the balance is actually like for this weekend. So all right, just taking a wider line, trying to get a more open entry to the second part of the S's, missed the curb. Tested, I wanted to see, is it better without the curb? Is it going to bottom less? So this is flat out through here. It should be flat out all the way until this bumpy brake zone. This is tricky. So just ABS is kind of on softly. It's not very intrusive. It's very softly intervening. Really nice through this section. This is such a rear limited corner. Look at this, watch the rear. If I lift off throttle, just you can see the snap of oversteer. So it's a fine balance of how you release the throttle. You don't want to just pop off throttle because it will give you that snap oversteer on entry. Be really, really careful with it and how you release throttle. This is using all the RPM, you usually let the AMG go to like 3 blinks on the red lights before you shift gears. Down to 3rd gear, turn 1, I'm taking a little bit more curb exploring. Still want to make sure the second corner is flat. So whatever you need to do, do not sacrifice being flat out around turn 2. This is into a passing opportunity for turn 3. A lot cleaner. You can see I got the rotation done a lot better. I didn't brake and understeer through the brake phase. So let's see how we look here in turn 4. Yeah, quite good. A lot less intervention on traction control. More speed into turn 5. More curb on exit. So you can see I'm getting more comfortable now. Still a little bit wide. Just a little bit wide in 6, 7, into 8. Turn 8. Now onto the long straight. Second longest straight on the track. Flat out again through the S's. I'm taking a lot of the curb. Let's see, got a bit more. I'm testing to see how much curb I can actually use. Here you have to either use a lot or not a lot. Or none, basically. It's either right to the grass or none. Because if you take kind of halfway, it just bounces the car too much. You want to get all up on top of it. And here as well, you have to be right to the grass on the curb. Otherwise, it just bounces too much. It's very bumpy. So I'll push a lot more. Oof, the oversteer is atrocious. You can see how you really have to be patient with the rear tires. I'm not very happy at this point. This is my first run, so I do like a 5. I believe it's a 5-lap run. You can see the lap count. Not on this page, actually. We have multiple pages on the dash, and I'm not on the page where you can see tire pressures. I obviously don't want to show that information. It's confidential for the team. I don't want to have to blur out the dash, but you can see I just had a little bit of traction control there through turn 2. But I believe it's like a 5-lap run that we were doing. 4 laps or 5 laps? I can't remember. So carried a lot more speed, rolled the speed through the center of the corner this time. A lot smoother now. Turn 4, I kind of figured it out. Was a bit more patient, got to full power quicker as well. Really attacking now. Turn 5. Oof, big oversteer. We have a lot of room to play with though. Just, I'm turning in early, testing the front tire. I want to see how much grip it actually has. So I'm just wiggling it to see if it's there. And it was, you can take that tighter line. So I'm finding out that the tighter line is better. You want to hold it out wide and then creep in. Let's see, completely missed the curb this time. Felt like it was smooth, but I think in the end, running the curb was the way to go. So right to the top of 4th gear, hard braking. I'm missing this. I believe later on I start taking that curb a bit more. In the race at least. Look, see how bumpy it is? If you take a little bit of that carousel curb, it just throws you off. Throws you in the garbage. I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I'm in a box now. So that was the first one. On the pit speed limiter, you can see it's activated. At the top on the screen it says pit speed active, and it's 50 kilometers per hour pit speed. So typically right now we're doing, I would more or less tell my team when I cross the pit entry line on the radio, because we have minimum pit stop requirements. And here we are into the second run. So this is my second run. We made a setup change. I wasn't happy with the rear of the car, so we made a little tweak to the rear in terms of our suspension geometry and setup. I'm not going to tell you what it was. Again, it's all confidential, these kind of things. But we made an adjustment on the rear of the car because I wasn't quite satisfied with it. As you guys saw, it was oversteering. So look at this, a lot of curb now. The car is very compliant. Easy flat through turn 2. Still, you can see the pickup. The fact that you do that in lap and you go offline a little bit to go into the pit lane, you see the pickup coming off the front left tire. It's just incredible how it takes a few laps to come off. And in the race, I ended up going a slight bit wide once the pit window opened, which really hurt us because it was through this section. Coming into turn 5, 6, and 7, 8. Like right here, I got a little wide. I got some pickup on the tire, and I'm like, no. It took 3 laps before it came off, and 3 laps was when I pitted. So I was just struggling for the last 3 laps of the stint with pickup, and you're just driving on marbles. Like they're just the rubber, the discarded rubber. You can see it on the side of the track. It gets on the surface of the tire and sticks there and doesn't come off. It just gets stuck. So you really have to keep driving quick on the line and keep the tire alive and keep it clean. So look at this. I take a bit more curb. Beautiful, really smooth. Now right to the top against the grass, patient on throttle. Look at the rear, a lot more stable. You notice that? A lot more stability in the rear of the car. So I'm just happier with it now. So let's see what we can do on this first push lap after we made the change. So you'll notice the delta in the middle of the dash. This is based off of an incorrect value. So you can see pushing a lot more in turn one, using a lot more of the road. These are used tires as well. So used tires near the end of stint. So you can just see the delta's not really basing it off of anything representative at this point. But I know it's consistent and I know my pace. So this is going to be a much better lap. You can see earlier I was already like 1 second over on the delta. Now we're like 8:10, so it should be better. I think this throughout the run, it actually gets much, much better. I'm actually surprised how good the rear was. I didn't even use all the road there. A lot more stability now. Much happier with this car as a race car. We're really tuning the car in these sessions with older tires for a race setup. So these are the adjustments we're thinking of. Not how good the car is going to be in the first laps, but how is it going to be after 15, 20 laps when the tires start wearing off. We're really basing that setup around the end of stint. So a lot better through the S's, really, a lot more stability. Taking the curb, back to throttle earlier, really aggressive. Look at this, just attacking the curbs. You guys want to take any guesses what we changed on setup? I'm not going to tell you if it's right or wrong, but you can make some guesses down in the comments. And while you're at it, if you want to like the video, or you can dislike it if I'm driving poorly and you think I need to improve, you can just hit the dislike button. Well, there we go, 36.9. So that was the best lap at this point on these tires. Very good lap. Very good lap time. So really good first sector, already just 1/10. Really improved turn 3. Look, I'm actually green. You can see now it goes green back to the white numbers, meaning that it's actually going slower on the delta. But already 4/10 up on the lap before this. So really, really solid lap. Let's see what we can do through this section. This is one of the best sections, actually. It's my favorite. Here, all through turns 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like, this whole section's actually fantastic. I don't know if it translates through the video, but it's so good. The flow, momentum. Look at this, like just full commitment, really big commitment corners. You're attacking it, all the curb now. Trying to be flat out through this last bit of the S. Into the bumpy brake zone. Let's see how much curb we take. We take curb? Yeah, we're taking curb. Boom. Really aggressive on the curb. Went in a little deep, delayed my throttle, but that's okay. Still okay. Taking the curb. Second last corner, the rear stability is amazing now. Really don't have to manage the rear tire at all through there. So you don't want to oversteer. I personally prefer a car that doesn't oversteer. And there we go, 36.8, even better this lap. 1/10 better than the one before that. So you can just see the progression, me getting more comfortable. Missed the curb a little bit, just testing to see if I use the curb, don't use the curb. Remember, these are like my first few laps of this track, so I'm really experimenting, trying to see what's most efficient. And I can see how that reflects in the delta. So I'm already down on the time. You can see I'm like, yeah, okay, I need to use the curb at turn 1. That really helped my delta. I'm checking that periodically every corner I make, checking to see, was that better, was that worse? And you can also feel it when you're driving. Let's see, a big send into turn 5. A lot more curb this time. You see there's still puddles out there, but too much commitment. Lost the rear. So that's exactly what happened in the race. In race 2, I ended up losing the rear a little bit into that corner, and you can see I just kind of abort. And I'm like, okay, listen, it's done. We achieved what we needed to do, and at this point, I believe we stop. I do a driver change, and Ziad, my teammate, Ziad Gondur, drives the car. He's the AM driver in our Pro-Am lineup, so I want to maximize his time, but I also, as my job is to get the car balanced, set correctly for him, because The AM drivers typically don't have the experience to know what to change with setup. So I'll drive it at the limit. You can see I'm coming in on the pit speed, really practicing to attack the pit lane delta line, which is the entry line. And I'm preparing the car now on the radio, telling my team, yep, copy, understand. So I'm changing the driver ID on the top, loosening my seatbelts a little bit. I can't disconnect them. Loosening the seatbelts, I take the radio off, stick it to the top of my helmet. There's Velcro on there. And preparing the car off, you need to have the engine off. Stop it on the board, right in the center. Immediately belt off, prepare the wheel, open the steering wheel, move it away. Belt on the magnet so he can get in easier. I take my booster seat out, and now Ziad will jump in the car. So this isn't a quick pit stop, but I wanted to practice getting out quickly. So you can see how quickly it is. We have the belt on the left shoulder that's actually out on a magnet that's stuck to the outside of the car. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it, but you may have caught a glimpse. You can see that right there, the red seat belt stuck to the outside. That's something we changed from the last race to help the driver change go a little bit quicker so that belt doesn't fall in behind the driver. And that is it. After Ziad got in the car, we continued to develop the car for our qualifying setup with new tires, but also for the race setup, because race 1 and race 2, that's where the trophies are handed out. So we're always preparing that car for a good quali, but also we want to make sure we have a good race car, because in the 45-minute stints that you have, the tires can go off quite a bit at the end. So we arrived at a really good setup. We had a great weekend. Unfortunate result in the end of the weekend. You can watch the full race coverage on GT World on YouTube, and you can see race 1 and race 2 from NOLA Motorsport Park. But that's it for now. Hope you guys enjoyed the walkthrough and just the whole experience from my point of view and what I'm thinking throughout the entire process and how we prepare for the weekend. If you guys like the content, let me know down below. If you didn't like it, you can also let me know down below. Fun fact, you should count how many apexes I missed throughout the entire video and write it down below in the comments. How many apexes you think I missed? I would like to know. I definitely missed a few, but that's part of the process. You know, you have to miss a few apexes to know where the limit is. But anyway, that's it. I'll probably do more of these videos in the future. Really enjoyed it. Hope you guys did as well. And if you haven't liked and subscribed already, I would very much appreciate that. It helps our reach and it helps us reach more people. So if you can do that, that'd be great. Otherwise, I will see you guys in a future video. Thanks so much.